Hello, this is one of those supposed magic gates. You see that you get two of these rods, you get two of these uh, little suction cup things here, hooks that are supposed to go like that. And let's look at actually one of these rods. Here's your rod, right? It's an extension rod, so slides in and out, does not screw, does not get tight. And then as it gets near the end, you will see that there's a nice little dimple there for how they put this together. And that dimple makes this thing like that. This is not an adjustment. I thought this was something that made tight. Nope. It's just a piece of plastic. And here's the fun part. This rod is the exact same length as this thing. So when you try and get it in there, it's super flimsy. You put it inside the mesh, and it goes like that. Flip flop, flip flop. So those are useless. As you can see, I took a curtain rod attachment, an accessory from one of these big box home stores, and normally this would be over your window here, and your curtain would hang down this way. But I have modified it to go sideways on the door frame, and it holds it really well. It does an amazing job, actually, of holding it really well. You tighten these screws, looks great. But here's the other thing. I noticed in all the other people's videos that all this mesh, that they give you twice as much mesh as you might need. It's practically enough to go across a garage door. So I cut it in half. I actually cut the mesh in half, and then I put it on the sewing machine, and I sewed a nice little channel here for my rod to go through. So I have done many major modifications already trying to get this ridiculous mesh gate to work, this magic gate. So here's what happens. There we go, nice and tight. Look at that, pretty nice, right? Okay, over here we have one of these, and I put it as tight as I possibly could. And it does hook on there. But the problem is that then what do you do with the bottom? How are you going to put a bottom hook here? That bottom hook is not going to work like that. It would have to be almost upside down, which would be very weird. And then how do you reach over the top of this gate with your hand and unhook this bottom thing every single time you try to open this gate? All right, so suppose you don't hook the bottom. Well, then the dogs can get through, obviously. I came up with a ridiculous solution, which was to take a mop handle, and I was going to cut the mop handle and put it inside here, right? So it would be similar to that side. And that would keep this side nice and stiff. But what happens there is you would have to have something that had a peg, sort of like a straight peg down here, that would mount to the wall, and the peg, this is not the peg, but this is what it would look like. The peg would stick up like this, and you would then have a hole in the bottom of your mop, and this would go up inside there. So it would look like this. Well, I can't do it by myself here, but anyways, long story short, this is a ridiculous idea too, because from a standing full position, let's suppose a person is around 5 or 6 feet high, you are trying to get your mop handle to go onto a little pole, little tiny peg right here every single time perfectly. That seems ridiculous. And then once you've got this thing nice and stiff, then you take it off of here. Suppose this worked. You take it off of this hook. Then what happens with this? Does it flop to the side over here? Or maybe you could hang it there. But that's not very attractive, and it's not very handy either, because suppose you're carrying a bunch of dishes and you come through here. You've unhooked it, but now where are your dogs going? Are your dogs at your feet? Are they waiting? It just really, this is about the worst design I've ever seen. Mesh gates are BS, and I do not recommend purchasing them, and this will be one of many videos you will be able to find on YouTube of people saying the same thing. They don't work the way they're advertised. Watch the infomercial and you'll only ever see the lady go like this. Whoop! They never show what happens at the bottom. Okay, thank you.